Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, and everyone else, welcome.
We are going to watch the last episode, and although I already watched it, I feel nervous and I already feel sad. It's true. I so much personally admire Senna that it takes a toll on me. But anyway, yeah.
I always hate sad endings. I do. I know it's part of life, but I hate them. And I have to admit that this has been kind of hanging over me from the beginning, knowing I'm going to watch a sad ending. But here we are. It's part of the story. I don't know what to say. Should I be angry at the whole institution that made this happen unnecessarily? And the enraging thing is that after that race, what did they say? 20 years passed without how many years? 20 some years without any fatality after that. I mean, what a senseless thing to require that two of the greatest racers have to die before changes.
Right there.
It's.
What was it? A day apart or something?
I could get really angry about that. But
at the same time, we have to say at the same time it was Senna's decision.
It was Senna's decision, and as tragic as it was, he chose it, and he chose it with his eyes wide open, because it showed how he was working, he was agitating, he was already trying to put something together that would change, make it safer for the next races.
And it happened, but without him.
Yes, and he knew how dangerous it was, and he had the chance to back out. Basically, everyone he talked to said, "You don't have to win. You don't have to race.
You don't have to race.
You don't have to race.
I mean, you're
already
triple.
A champion.
Yeah,
you have nothing to prove." And in the end, he said,
"That's what I do.
It's who I am.
Yeah.
It's who I am. I can't not race." So it was his choice. And
but there are other details which are not in this movie, and I prepared right now for Amy and for all of us to watch a short presentation made by a YouTuber. It's not some sort of a official documentary or stuff, but I love the way he managed to put together some of the most important details about Senna and about that moment and about the car crash. And let's just watch it right now together, and because that will give you even more insight, not only in what happened in that day, but also who Senna was. Let's just watch this.
As he is in Brazil, he's in my heart. He always has been. I've loved, even though I never got to meet him. He's someone I aspire to be like.
One of the best who has ever done it in F1.
We'll hear always the stories about the legacy.
Yes, sir.
We'll always live
big.
The nice guy could also be the killer.
It's the biggest in history.
A legend.
When the conversation of the greatest racing driver of all time is discussed, a few names are always mentioned, but one name seems to stand out from the crowd. A driver known for not only his achievements on the track, but also the impact he made off it. You would be hard-pressed to find anybody today, racing enthusiast or not, who doesn't recognise the name Ayrton Senna. But just how good was he? Well, let's find out, because you're watching Quattro Cam. My name's Alex, and this is Just How Good Was Ayrton Senna. Now, one of the biggest question marks over anybody given the moniker the greatest of all time is who they competed against. Often the argument weighing down many great sporting figures is how competitive a time did they exist in. Senna isn't one of these. You see, during his brief time in F1, Senna would race alongside some of the sport's best. Four-time Drivers' Champion, Alain Prost.
There is Ayrton Senna, and right behind him is Alain Prost.
Now,
Prost is going to be very keen. Prost diving inside. Senna, I'm sure, is in tire trouble, and Alain Prost goes through.
It's Alain Prost, the world champion, winning in Mexico. Alain Prost wins for Ferrari.
Three-time Drivers' Champion Nelson Piquet.
The only other thing he can do is if he makes contact or allows Senna to make contact with him. Senna, you see, moving to the right, making it hard, and Nelson's got round the outside of it. Oh! Big side from Nelson and nearly contact. Tremendous stuff.
And F1 Drivers and IndyCar champion Nigel Mansell.
With Alain Prost seemingly going to win it, and Mansell going round the outside. Incredible! Up into second place. He's regained that second place.
Absolutely brilliant manoeuvre by Mansell. Fantastically brave.
All of these drivers were in their prime years, all greats, at the very best of their game. But despite this, Senna would stand out as something very different. Now, if you look at the stats, they would suggest that Lewis Hamilton, Sebastian Vettel, Michael Schumacher, and one Manuel Fangio were all better than Senna. But if you actually ask racing drivers, including some of those mentioned above, they will all say one name.
I think Senna, I will put him in number one.
For me, Senna is number one.
For me, he was number one.
I will put Ayrton Senna as number one.
For me, Ayrton Senna undoubtedly was the number one.
I would put him number one. You know, he was definitely the greatest driver.
If you ask me, I put Senna as well in number one.
And it's not just the drivers. The stats also support Senna as the master. If you take a look at pole positions won by drivers, Senna sits third, behind Lewis Hamilton and sandwiched between Michael Schumacher and Sebastian Vettel. But if you look a little closer, you'll see that nobody is anywhere near him when you consider the ratio of entries to pole positions. That is, of course, except the legendary drivers,
he only has 162 entries.
And one Manuel Fangio, arguably two drivers who could contest this crown against Senna and showcase just how far ahead of the pack they truly were. But to see Senna's prowess in action, we can look at qualifying for Monaco in 1988. Up against his teammate and future four-time champion Alain Prost, a Hall of Fame driver in his own right, Senna would lay down a time a whole 1.5 seconds faster than this four-time champion. And remember, this is prime Prost. He won 2 of his 4 championships in '86 and '89, just 1 season after this Monaco qualifier. And Senna would often drive the famous Monte Carlo streets one-handed. Back when manual gearboxes still existed in Formula 1 cars, Senna would often take corners at over 80 miles an hour. Senna didn't just develop this speed, he always had it. In his rookie season in 1984, he would drive quite possibly the greatest drive of anyone ever. In an immense downpour of rain, the young rookie Senna would fly around the Monaco streets. As champion and champion crashed off the course, the young Senna would charge on, hunting down and shaving off second after second from future teammate and future 4-time champion Prost, who would eventually come to stop his car in the middle of the track and complain to stewards that it was just too wet to drive. And maybe it was too wet for any man to race in, but Senna was no man. This wet pace would become something Senna was known for. At Donington in 1993, in an inferior car to his rivals, Senna would carve his way through the pack, as if he was driving in the dry, whilst his competitors battled it out in the wet, driving as if he was in a different reality or dimension to those around him. This ruthless speed was only matched by Senna's ruthless racecraft, often putting both himself and the other drivers in a position for an accident and letting his opponents decide their fate. A high-speed game of chicken that the Brazilian master would win more often than not, showcasing his mental strength with high-level psychological warfare, beating drivers not only on the track, but in their minds. Once Senna had your number, the game was up. He knew what you would do before you could do it. He was, quite literally, 5 moves ahead of you, to demonstrate just how ruthless and cutthroat the Brazilian was. In 1990, the Japanese Grand Prix, Senna would win the championship if his former teammate and future 4-time champion Alain Prost failed to finish the race. So Senna did what only Senna could do. He ended Prost's race at the very first corner, because if Prost didn't win, Senna would.
Go! And Senna sprints away, but Alain Prost takes the lead. It's happened. Alain Prost has taken the advantage. Senna is trying to go through on the inside, and it's happened immediately. This is amazing. Senna goes off at the first corner.
And That's a very sad way for this year's very exciting World Championship to finish.
Notice the distinct lack of tyre smoke. Senna was playing chess, as his rivals played checkers. And I mean that quite literally. Senna would often play chess with master tactician Sir Frank Williams, developing his mind, not just his driving. Senna was built to win. Every fibre of his being was focused on one thing: winning. Because if you cannot do what it takes to win, you will only ever come second.
By being a racing driver, you are under risk all the time. And by being a racing driver means you are racing with other people. And if you no longer go for a gap that exists, you're no longer a racing driver. Because we are competing to win. And the main motivation to all of us is to compete for a victory. You either commit yourself as a professional racing driver that is designed to win races, or you come second, or you come third, or you come fifth. And I'm not designed to come third, fourth, or fifth. I race to win, as long as I feel is possible.
It wasn't just speed and ruthlessness that Senna had in his arsenal. He was also an expert tactician. Senna would sit down and discuss every aspect of the car and tracks to make sure that man and machine were as in sync as possible. Senna worked just as hard off the track as he did on it. In an era where racing drivers were like rock and roll stars, Senna remained focused and planted, proving hard work beats talent, and hard work with God-given talent is unstoppable. His race engineer, Pat Simmons, is one of few people who could see this firsthand. There was one area at Dallas where just about everyone hit the wall. He hit it there too. When he got back to the pits, he said, "I just cannot understand how I did that. I was taking it no differently than I had before. The wall must have moved." We thought, yeah, right, sure, the wall's moved. He was very insistent on this, so after the race, we went out and had a look. The wall had moved. It was concrete blocks, and someone had clipped it, moved it just a few millimeters. And I mean just a few millimeters. And he had been judging it that perfectly. Senna did all of this whilst driving in what can only be described as a jet engine on wheels. The racing cars of the day had very little downforce, making them squirrely and nervous. Add in the 1,200 horsepower engines, a whole 200 horsepower more than modern cars, even with their electric assistance, and you can begin to understand just how much skill was required to keep these cars the right way up. But outside of all of this, Senna was also one of the most compassionate people ever walk the surface of the earth. He was deeply religious and believed in living life right in the eyes of God, even risking his own life to save the lives of others.
Friday morning was nice and sunny, but not for Eric Comas, who crashed heavily in the fast Blanchimont sweep before the pits. Ayrton Senna was the first to reach the scene of the crash, and he rushed to help the motionless Frenchman.
At Spa in 1992, Senna would stop his car and run down the track, dodging his fellow competitors' cars by inches, so he could check on the welfare of driver Eric Comas. When he reached the car, Comas was unconscious. Senna turned off his engine so to avoid a fire and stood there in the middle of the track, holding Comas's head upright to help protect his spine. He literally stood in the middle of a live racetrack to make sure somebody else was okay.
So I didn't realize immediately that it probably saved my life, but then talking with the engineers and seeing the car, how the car was destroyed, and seeing the pictures and all the leaks on the cars, well, it's a day that maybe without Ayrton I could not talk about today.
He often talked about starting a charitable foundation to help children back in his home country of Brazil. And this is what added to Senna's magnetism. On one hand, he would run drivers off the track, risking both their lives in the pursuit of the podium. And in the other, he would risk his own life to save that of another driver, sacrificing time and money to improve the lives of those less fortunate than his own. Senna even donated a reported $400 million to children's charities during his career, a fact that was only known after his death because he wanted to avoid the publicity. Senna gave everything he had to those around him. In 1989, Senna and fellow driver Gerhard Berger would walk Imola to see what they could do to improve the course's safety. Stopping at Tamburello Corner, they climbed through a partition in the retaining wall to investigate the surroundings. Senna wanted to move the retaining wall back, but there was a river just behind it. He feared somebody would die in that spot. Returning in 1994, Senna would witness the death of Austrian driver Roland Ratzenberger in qualifying. This had a profound effect on Senna, who hid an Austrian flag in his car as a tribute he planned to unveil at the end of the next day's Grand Prix, a fact nobody was aware of. Senna would never get to fly the flag for Ratzenberger. Whilst leading the race, Senna would go off at the corner he was stood on those 5 years previous. Senna was right about one thing: somebody would die on that corner. The 1st of May 1994 is probably the most well-known date in F1 history. The world lost quite possibly its greatest driver, and most definitely its greatest son. Senna would continue to save lives after his death. Days of mourning were declared in Brazil, and over 3 million people lined the streets for his funeral procession. Such was the impact of his death. Safety was now front and centre. It had cost the sport possibly its greatest ever driver, something that could not be allowed to happen again. And it is hard to find a word, if one even exists, when you think of all the drivers that have lost their lives needlessly. How it took the death of Senna, and not of any of these other drivers, to really make things change. So Senna was a different species, a driver not only of immense God-given talent, but also immense dedication to his craft, a win-at-all-costs attitude, but with compassion for his fellow drivers and humans. Senna was perhaps the perfect athlete, the perfect human being. So what do you think to the question of just how good was Senna?
Nice little.
So, the $400 million back then, this is how much it's worth today.
Why?
It's $1.2 billion.
Yeah, I have to even figure out how to read that number. It's so many commas after it. Okay.
Little over 1 ton.
Wow. So yeah, actually, the clips of Senna himself speaking and there actually helped me see more of the real Senna, which I appreciate, because the series we just finished, the actor, he's good.
He's good, yeah.
He's good.
Yeah.
But he doesn't manifest that sort of competitive focus. And so it feels kind of strange watching it that way, but I see it in Senna himself. Yeah. So that was the legend. The legendary.
That is the legend. Yeah. That's
is Senna. Well, what did it say? What did he say? Hardly anybody, even if they're not in racing, doesn't know the name Senna. I guess I at least know the name Senna now. And I know the name Freddie Mercury. I know too.
You never heard of this name before watching this movie?
Not before you started telling me.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Nope.
All right. Well, we hope that you enjoyed these this trip and this story. I hope that it will inspire us all, maybe just as Senna would have liked to.
This is something that's been in my mind lately too, because just a few days ago I read about an Israeli mountain climber climbing oh dear, now my mind isn't racing. I can't think of it.
It's okay.
The tallest mountain in the world.
Everest,
thank you. Climbing Everest, and he was set to be the youngest to reach the peak. But on his ascent, he came across several climbers who were recently dead. And he said, I knew they were dead because I knew they were fresh because they were attached to the same line I was climbing off of. And he stopped to check them out and realized that one still had signs of life. And he chose, rather than to become the youngest, break the record, become the youngest to reach the peak, he chose to turn out to be a Turkish climber, help him carry him unconscious down off the mountain. And I think actually along the way down, he also met another climber who was also on his last legs. And somehow that stuck in my mind, because I don't know about everybody else, but I know about myself. It's so easy for me to focus on a goal that I lose my sense of location and reality. And it's a frightening thing, because I think, man, what if I don't even notice that somebody needs help? What if I don't notice? And it's one of the things that terrifies me, and it's one of the things that I see with Senna I admire, and this other mountain climber as well. I don't even remember his name, because I'm not in that world. I don't know these names.
Yes.
But it's a recent story. I just read it last week, I guess. And it's something that I aspire to. I'm sure I'll never reach my ideal, but I do have an ideal that I aspire to. and I think that all of us can use these reminders to not lose our human side, and not lose our awareness of the needs of those around us. Even as we strive to better ourselves. So that's probably one of the most special things about this whole story, is that it's another really good reminder to keep that alive in ourselves.
Well, let us know your thoughts after watching this movie. We're looking forward to reading all of them, all your comments, and we'll see you soon.